Morning, everyone. Happy Halloween. This is the voice of Justine Ewald, Manager of Member Engagement at TMA. Thank you for joining us this morning. Please note all participants will be on mute for today's call. You may enter questions into the question box located on the lower section of the GoToWebinar panel on your screen. I'll be watching for questions throughout the presentation and asking in real time, so please do not hesitate to chime in. Today's webinar will be recorded and shared with attendees later today. I'd now like to welcome our content leaders, John Free and Karen Delgado from Cre8tive Technology and Design.
Thank you, Justine. I do appreciate it. Do you have the recording started already?
Yes, it is started.
All right, very good. Thank you so much. And welcome, everyone. Thank you for attending today. You've already met our friend Justine from TMA, and thank you all for attending today, and thank you for TMA to allowing us to present to this group. It's an exciting time in the manufacturing world and technology world. My name is John Free. I am one of the technology advisors from a sales leadership perspective here at Cre8tive Technology and Design. Joining me today is Karen Delgado. She is one of our demonstration resources from the solution engineer. She'll be showing some stuff towards the end of the presentation today on some of the tools we're using from a technology perspective to help manufacturing companies like yourselves optimize their business and continue to grow within their enterprise. Who Cre8tive is, we are a technology partner in the manufacturing space. We're very vertically focused on discrete manufacturers. We have consulting experience in many different areas of the consulting world, from not only change management, but project management, as well as operations, financial consulting expertise. We have a implementation methodology that has been proven over many different implementations, several years. We've probably done we've touched probably a couple thousand manufacturing companies over the last 15 years of our existence, and we've done many things from a technology perspective to help them to continue growth in the sector and enhance their business. We just as an example of some things we've done from a technology perspective here on this slide. We've utilized several different areas and components to help these companies enhance their technology, from ERP to PLM to business intelligence. We've got a whole slew of different business practices as part of our playbook to help leverage business optimization as companies like yourselves continue to grow. We may start with one component of this type of a technology stack and slowly grow into some of the other areas as you continue to grow and optimize how technology is continuing to grow in your organization. Just a small example of what we've done with a customer, and I don't expect you to read this slide today, and you will get this slide deck shared with you at the end of the presentation, but this is a business flow from quote on the left to cash on the right, where we've gone into a business, a manufacturing business, and done some thorough discovery from a technology perspective on how they do business today. And this is a map of how they're currently doing business today, leveraging potentially multiple disparate systems, from engineering to CAD to supplier portals to project management tool sets, etc. And we've really mapped out how they're doing things from an as-is process standpoint today. And the takeaway from that is for us to come back from a technology delivery to help them understand what we can do from a implementation delivery mechanism. So what you see on this next map is how we're leveraging a technology platform to help optimize businesses, and the deliverable is on the right-hand side. These are workflow diagrams that are designed in Visio to help companies improve industry best practices and utilize their business performance in a better way. These type of diagrams are yours to use not only through the course of implementing new business processes, but after you've implemented those business processes and you have employees transition inside your organization to new roles, or you bring on new employees. We have these deliverables from an implementation perspective to help these customers get trained with new employees and try to expedite the disruption in the business as people move around or new employees come on board. So this is just one small example of one area where, from a technology standpoint, we leverage some tools that help automate business processes internally. We hear a lot of buzzwords out there: Industry 4.0, digital factory, IoT, and our methodology when we go into companies in the manufacturing sector is to really try to take this in phases, where we can do this in different chunks, from an ERP perspective to a connectivity perspective to machine integrations, data lakes, business intelligence, and really bite this off in chunks and really help optimize business performance, and how we leverage technology. Again, this is just one small example, and I want to make sure the takeaway for you all today is that, we have different tools we can help deliver on the technology stack journey. It is really a journey as we go down this path. Just one small example from a delivery perspective, and some of the things you're going to see when we get into Karen here shortly is what is available in the toolbox for a technology and business optimization across all areas of the organization. And again, I don't expect you to read every single area of this, and nor am I going to read it all to you, but the takeaway is we can embed on a technology platform all of your business units into potentially one business application as you continue to grow, and make sure everything within your organization is talking to each other. There's one version of the truth from a data standpoint, and the businesses across the enterprise is able to communicate and talk to each other. Some of the things you're going to see here over the next maybe 15, 20 minutes from our perspective on the technology are some of the tools that we're utilizing from not only the front office and how the shop floor is running and maintaining, but also some analytics that Karen will show with you shortly about the tools that are available. We'll go with like what I would call a crawl, walk, run mentality, right? Let's start you off slow and implement this in phases from a technology standpoint, and really focus on what do you do well today and what are some of the quick wins we can get in your industry and in your business to help you optimize your business. So this is just one small example of the production shop floor visibility and showing what's running and optimized, and where are our bottlenecks that we maybe have to go out into the shop floor and help try to improve optimization. And then from a business analytics perspective, just some graphing and charts from a technology standpoint that help the executives get some view into what's going well in the organization, whether it's at the financial level, whether it's at the shop floor or manufacturing level, or whether it's at maybe a quality management or an engineering perspective. That just you want to try to figure out where am I doing things well, where am I making the most from a profitability perspective, and what can I do from an optimization standpoint to maybe look at doing things a little bit better. So we're going to jump into some of that here shortly. Before we do that, Justine, I want to pause here and just find out, are there any questions that have come across at this point before we jump into anything with Karen?
No, there are no questions.
Okay. So with that, Karen, I'll give the ball back over to you, and we can just spend a few minutes kind of going over some of the technology things that we were planning to highlight from a Q&A perspective. I want to make sure the team is reminded. Certainly keep questions and open to us. We want to be able to answer questions as we can on the fly. So don't hesitate to jump in and ask us any questions. We'd be more than happy to answer those for you.
Sure. Thank you, John. And just making sure, tech check, you
Yep.
can see my screen, right? All right.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, so just to kind of complement what John was just described, we're going to take you through some of the tools that we work with as part of this technology offering on these platforms in the Epicor world. So specifically, right now you're looking at an ERP system, and we'll talk a little bit about the benefits of running kind of state-of-the-art technology to run your different processes in the different departments that collaborate through your companies, and making sure that they're all kind of feeding the same application and getting the best information out of it to make informed decisions throughout the day. So right now you're looking at an example of a dashboard, and across the top you can see different departments or roles being represented. And of course, in the concept of an ERP, these types of systems support all the different processes, all the different departmental responsibilities in a single platform. So of course, everybody is adding their own piece to this, whether it's from the sales perspective, capturing leads, capturing opportunities, all the way to production, purchasing, quality, etc. So all this information is landing in the same spot and then enabling us to report on it whichever way it better serves us. So right now you're working off of a production role. And so we have that selected right here. And the metrics that we display for our users are to be relevant to what they're doing on a regular basis, decisions that they need to make constantly throughout the day. So we want to make it very exception focused, and of course, just to track the performance of what their particular department is measuring against. So on a production point of view, I probably want to see how we're performing from a scheduling standpoint. I want to see if we're running late on certain jobs out of the production floor. So from a production supervisor standpoint, I have those visible to me. I can always expand any of these views of my dashboard if I want to drill down into the details. So right here, all these jobs are late and I have them organized by different product lines. So I can see the fabricated product line is not doing great. We have 25 jobs running behind. So I can always drill down and expand the details and get to the very specific transactions that are not performing to the best expectation. And of course, from here, I can further take action. I can go in and modify my schedule, rearrange things around. But from a visibility standpoint, I can get to that data right from my homepage and kind of put focus on those things that require my attention. I also can maybe track the progress of the work I have going on the floor. You know, these are different orders or jobs that are being performed. And this column represents the specific job number. Of course, I could always, you know, display that in any other way that may be relevant, maybe by customer, by product number. But right here, just by hovering over it, I can get a quick glance at how my progress is doing on those specific orders, my percent complete, and the estimated hours to completion. So little tidbits like that are being fed live by the data as these jobs are being transacted on. Because we are connected to your shop floor and your data collection workstations out on the floor, we can capture those actuals in real time and track the progress. These dashboards are fully live. They can be refreshed on demand or set up on an interval. So you're just looking at the latest and greatest information at any moment. Now, something else John mentioned earlier was maybe monitoring the performance of specific equipment or getting information from your machines out on the floor. This is another example of that. This is just a pump we have out in production, and it's gonna just kind of measure and track the flow and the temperature over time, over the day. So whatever type of, again, data point that is relevant to your users, you can incorporate into that homepage and allow them that direct access to the information. Now let's put another hat on, and let's say I'm someone in the purchasing team. Of course, I have the same type of layout where I could see metrics kind of represented graphically, but we also can display information in a more obvious way, right? Maybe I want to have quick access to any open POs that I'm managing as a buyer. So we can embed information straight from the transactions in this spreadsheet format that allows us to interact with that data as well. So maybe I want to quickly see what my open POs are for Samson Steel. I can quickly search and filter through that spreadsheet look and get to the information I'm trying to find. I can do that for any of the columns out here. So it's really interactive. We can drill down to the specific record. So maybe I want to open up PO 4064. I can just expand that and launch it in a separate tab and get to the specific transaction and maybe just analyze it in a little bit more detail. So again, key information we can display there. We can also interact with that data through other applications. Maybe I want to download this to Excel. I have a little shortcut here that allows me to just take that out. Maybe I want to share it with one of my peers and just communicate it to someone else in my department. I can take that information straight out of the system right here. So there's no need to build a query, run a report. Just with the things I have in my homepage, I can get to that information that is so relevant for me to just be able to access quickly. Now, other things you can do here, and that the system kind of pushes out to the users to focus their attention on specific alerts, specific scenarios that happen in your business throughout the day, is through the use of our Collaborate tool. So this is taking the concept of social media and applying it to an ERP, to the business world. And you know, a very common request we get from our users is, well, I want to be notified every time this or that happens. And most of the time they're looking for an email notification, which is great. I mean, we all have our emails and our phones, and we can get to that information quickly. But we also don't want to get, you know, 20 emails per hour, right? So this is a great alternative for that because it allows the users to subscribe to certain notification types or status updates. And just like you would in a social stream, you could open that up at any given time throughout the day and just catch up on what's happened. So here I'm following some different alerts, like, whenever new large orders are entered or when shipments are processed. And I can just scroll through, and if any particular transaction catches my attention where I need to go drill down on it, I can always access that order right from here from the shortcut. I can also decide to follow that specific order, so that way I'm getting all the notifications on anything that happens on that particular transaction going forward. So it's a great way, again, to be kept on the loop on things that are happening in our business without, being flooded with all these different emails in our inbox. So very proactive alternative. It also enables internal communication within the system, again, to kind of replace a little bit of what happens outside in an email platform. Maybe I want to notify someone or ask a question about a transaction. I can tag any of my peers here, and I can also reference transactions within the body of that message, attach documents, and send that communication internally. And our team is being notified of these collaboration messages, and they're also being stored in the system, which is great when you're communicating in the context of a transaction. So to give you a little bit more insight on that, let me go into my sales role right here. And we're going to navigate into our order entry screen just to exemplify that a little bit more. So here in order entry, the collaborate option that we just discussed is also enabled at the transactional context. So I could, trigger a message to one of my users just asking a generic question, and or it could be, something more specific. Sorry, let me get to the right shortcut there. So I'm going to retrieve a sales order right here, and that's order 5659. But the same icon we just were walking through right here in our collaborate menu, now we open that up, and it's going to be in the context of the order. So you can see a little tab being open right here where you can get to the messages that are specific to that record. So if I'm communicating with one of my peers in context of order 5659, then now that communication is logged against the transaction. So anybody else that has security clearance to it can see what's happening and can see what's going on with that particular record. So it's just a little bit of a tidbit there on being able to not only have system-driven alerts, but also managing that collaboration that happens internally in our system. So let's go back here to our homepage. And I mean, just other examples here of surfacing information from the ERP to the outside world. We've talked about it in the context of our employees, right? They need accessibility to the data, to certain performance metrics, but then we also engage with other parties like our customers and our suppliers. So running in an ERP solution allows the communication to be a little bit more streamlined with those parties. So let's say, we're working with our suppliers, and instead of just, having emails again flying around, we want to enable them and make them a little bit more proactive as well, where they could go into a supplier portal. And here I could log in as my supplier ID or my supplier credentials. And based on the information we decide to publish out there, we can empower them to keep track of any open requests for quotes that we've submitted their way. They can proactively reach out and respond through the portal, see what we're inquiring about, and just kind of interact with the data from their end without necessarily having to deal with all these offline transactions through emails that someone will then have to retype into the system. So request for quotes is a great one. PO confirmations, as we submit new purchase orders to our vendors, they can go in and confirm, reject, maybe update any particular promise dates. So whatever, again, accessibility we want to provide them, we can do here. And also from the accounts payable point of view, they can monitor the payments that we've processed for them. So right here, and you can drill down to the related invoice and kind of get to that level of detail that you're looking at from a supplier to make sure that we've covered all our open and pending payments. So it's an alternative as well from a technology standpoint to make that accessible to any other entities that we may be working with. So now that we are kind of in the context of the ERP, now you may be wondering, this seems like a big endeavor, right, to go into a system like this and going through the training process and the adoption, especially when you're coming from tools that are very user friendly. You know, we see new prospects trying to incorporate an ERP into their business, but you know, a lot of the challenges come from users being very used to what they're working with today. So the education process becomes a little bit daunting when you think about it. But one thing that we like to highlight is that whenever new technology is introduced, educational content comes along with it. So in solutions like this one, it's all embedded in the system. So part of the implementation process is to provide you with that educational matrix and assigning courses to specific roles in your business that they can take as you are going through an implementation and also as they continue to use the application. So I wanted to show a little bit of that here because we want to make sure that users always feel empowered to learn and be able to go back to the tools that will help in that learning process. And one of the highlights here of the solution that we work with is that it provides that educational content in different formats to fit the different kind of learning methods. So whether you're more of a person that learns by watching, we have videos that you can, you know, just on demand launch and learn about a specific area of the system. We also have more traditional articles that you can read through and kind of study your way through, and more click-by-click guided workshops. So all of these are embedded in the application. They're constantly evolving and, you know, being expanded based on new functionality as new releases come out. So it's a tool that will always be there to help your users, you know, acclimate and feel comfortable with the application that they're going to be working with. So again, and that applies to all the tools that we've discussed so far. Chart creation, data being analyzed and drilled down to. You can learn all of that through the educational content that's available and kind of learn to make it your own. So I want to open the floor maybe for any questions, or I don't know if we have any questions coming through in the chat.
We can wait for a few questions. I don't see any right now. Does anyone have any questions? It is open. It's an open floor. I do not see any. I don't know if you guys have any final thoughts for our TMA members.
Yeah, so from my end, I mean, it's a really interesting world to go into, you know, this journey of you know, enhancing your technology tools. So certainly, if you have any use cases or any particular scenarios that you'd like us to address, you know, in any follow-up presentation, feel free to let us know. I don't know, John, if you have any final observations there.
Yeah, I believe Justine is going to share all of our contact information with the group that's in attendance today. If there are some offline questions that we'd be more than happy to spend some time talking with you guys about to find out where you're at in your journey, where you're planning to go here over the next, you know, 12, 24, 36 months in your technology journey within your manufacturing business. So certainly don't hesitate to reach out to us at any time. We'd be more than happy to spend, you know, a half day, a day, a couple hours, whatever makes sense for your business, to just talk through where you're at in your journey and where you're trying to take your business. So if there aren't any questions, Justine, we can close the presentation with that. We tried to keep it short and let everybody get some of their day back, but we certainly welcome any questions if there are any before we wrap up here this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much, John and Karen, for your time today, and thank you all for joining us for today's call. Again, I'll be sending out all this information out later today, so if you have any follow-up questions for John and Karen directly, you can ask them. But thank you and happy Halloween.
All right, thank you so much, everybody. Have a good day.